Alright, so I need to issue an apology. Back when the Astros sign stealing allegations were laid forth bare and were exposed by the commissioner, I felt that it was a very strong punishment. You had not seen anything like it before from baseball. I thought that stripping the World Series would have been a step too far, as none of the major sports have ever done that. And now I'm not so sure. Mainly because between then and now, the Astros talked and talked and talked, and every time they opened their mouth, it seemed like they dug that hole just a little deeper. So this all started on February 13th. This was when the Astros held a press conference at the beginning of spring training to address these comments and give their apologies. You had all your players talking about remorse and being apologetic. But then there are also comments from Justin Verlander and Josh Reddick, who were asked to comment on how they would have felt if they were on the other side of the scheme, if they were the ones that were victimized by the sign stealing, like the Yankees and the Dodgers very clearly were. And they refused to comment on it. For Verlander especially, this is a big deal because he has been vocal in the past on calling out steroid users. So it would be interesting to go back to 2017 and say if the Yankees had gotten Justin Verlander, and then now all this came out, what would Verlander have possibly said that he is not saying now because he benefited from this by getting his so far only World Series trophy? You also have players still saying that even if they didn't have the sign, that they still would have been World Series champions. And that has gone over just about as well as you'd expect. And oh boy, you're trying to close this, put this behind you, and then you're just going to say, oh, it wouldn't have mattered. And that's not what players want to hear. And speaking of that, let's talk about Jim Crane for a second. First of all, Crane says that he stands by the report and insists that he doesn't believe that he needs to be punished, which, yeah, why would you ask one of the people who would say if he should be punished? That you're always going to get a no, I don't need to be punished, because why would you be that stupid and say yes? And now let's talk about that accountability, or lack thereof. So, at one point, Crane said that he didn't believe that the sign stealing impacted the game. And then less than a minute later, he does a complete 180 and says that he didn't say it didn't impact the game. And then saying something completely against what you said. Even more so when you say it literally in the next question that you're asked. But it's not just the Astros that I have a little bit of a problem with, because this goes all the way to the top in terms of accountability, and that goes to Rob Manfred. Now, does that mean that Manfred was going easy on the Astros because that's what he wanted to do? I don't believe that. One, his hands were semi-tied by the players' union because, as it turns out, that the memo that was sent around to general managers to tell their players what was right and wrong for sign stealing never made it down to the Astros. So you have the question that the players' union could ask, well, they didn't know that this was against the rules. Never mind that I believe there was some reporting on it at the time, but besides that. And two, Manfred was the one who insisted on the video replay rooms without giving proper restrictions on where they should be. So, as I've said in the past, this is a scandal that falls directly on actions that the commissioner's office has taken. But what really irked some players was his comments on why he didn't strip the trophy, which is something that a lot of fans and some players have gotten behind. To that, he said, first of all, it never happened in baseball. I'm a precedent guy. The 2017 World Series will always be looked at as different whether or not you put an asterisk or ask for the trophy back. Once you go down that road for changing the results on the field, they just don't know when you stop. And that's gotten some rebuke from players like Trevor Bauer or Justin Turner. Bauer, we've always known, has been an outspoken guy against Manfred for the last several months, but Justin Turner seemed to take the biggest cut against him. He stated that if Manfred was such a precedent guy, he would have set a stronger precedent than what he said. And he took very much offense at what was considered a characterization of the trophy as a piece of metal, essentially. For him to devalue the trophy the way he did yesterday just tells me how out of touch he is with players in the game. At this point, the only thing devaluing that trophy is that it says commissioner on it. And that's where I really want to go with this. Players are angry. They are really, really angry at the Astros. Most of them feel that the commissioner did not go far enough in punishing players. A lot of them are wondering, and myself included, where Tony Clark, the head of the players union, is. That he's not just supposed to protect people from punishment, but also protect the people who are getting affected by this. That where has Tony Clark been? He has not actually publicly commented, as far as I'm aware at this point. And we have a very real chance, even as soon as spring training opening up with the first Astros game on Saturday, you're going to see players plunking at other players. You're going to see altercations. You're going to see brawls, potentially. And when the commissioner, who is trying to tamp down on this, puts suspensions out on the players who started this, the players are going to say, you're giving me 5, 10, 15 game suspensions, and these guys who cheated a World Series out are going to get off scot-free. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's not my position to really say. But the players are going to be very much incensed, is my opinion. And it's just adding more fuel to what is an already contentious and interesting debate around the next collective bargaining agreement after the current contract with the players expires at the end of the 2021 season. Also on top of this, we still haven't heard about the Red Sox. We are supposed to get that very soon, and when we do, we will add that to this very much interesting debate. And Joe, hopefully our schedules work out at some point soon where we can talk about all this, because this is the story of 2020 that is not going to go away at all. But what is going to go away is me. So I will see you guys next time as I do the video cue and audio recording.